Hi there, Gemini. I'm EllaAradia, and welcome to your May 2026 Psychic Tarot reading. This reading is for my Gemini air signs, where we'll be exploring the overall energies and themes for the month ahead, as well as taking a deeper dive into how these might be playing out for you in your life. This is a general reading, so it's going to resonate a little bit differently for all of you, but what I do find is there's always a shared theme that runs through the collective of all of you Gemini signs. So it may show up in different areas of your life in slightly different ways, but the theme is always the same. So take what feels aligned to you and just leave the rest. And before we jump in, a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoy this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then you can get notified when the next videos are up. So Gemini, let's jump in. So I always like to tune into the energies first, Gemini, before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I like to see what the universe shows me. I'm seeing a Gemini that is moving on and, moving into a whole new chapter. So some kind of new beginning, some kind of fresh start, but I feel like it's come from something that closed, which was, quite challenging for you. I'm seeing a person in your past, someone that perhaps, you have a long history with. And I get the feeling of a gradual kind of drifting apart from this person. A kind of growing apart is what I'm seeing here. And I do feel like there's a little bit of a struggle for some of you around, I feel, trusting, what's next, this new chapter that you're moving into. Feels like there isn't quite a clear direction, which is also something that can, make that a little bit difficult sometimes. And I'm getting the feeling of you kind of revisiting the past, in your mind, in your thoughts, your feelings, and, trying to understand or get into context, why things kind of broke down and ended. Because when I feel into that connection, it's not like there was kind of anything hugely wrong. For me, it feels like it was a sense of just drifting apart. And to me, what I strongly get around this is it was time for you to take a different path and the person that you're dealing with. Now, for some of you, this could relate to, perhaps a job that recently came to a close, or you moved on from, something like that. And sometimes when we find ourselves at the beginning of a new chapter, especially if, there isn't a clear direction, or we find ourselves single for a little while, sometimes it's about healing. Sometimes it's about creating space so that you can perhaps invest in yourself in some way. There's something perhaps you're wanting to work towards in your life, and it creates space for you to really be able to do that. And sometimes it's just when the universe comes in to put us on a different path. Because there are, new things for you to experience. There are perhaps other soul contracts with other people that you have kind of yet to meet. And that will go for this, that will be the same for the person, that you've been connected with as well. It's almost like, there's other things for both of your souls to experience. With your overall energies, we have this Six of Cups, which is what I was talking about at the beginning there. How, we can kind of revisit the past, reconnecting to good times, happy memories, moments where, we felt loved and things were good. And I definitely get a strong sense of, nostalgia at the moment about, whatever this is that has completed itself in your past, because to me, it feels like it's connected to a very big chapter of your life. Like this feels like quite a big transition to me. And sometimes, there's a lot of things that feel familiar about the past sometimes. And, even that, perhaps that other version of yourself, there's something that somehow feels familiar and comforting about that, which can be something that we kind of hold on to sometimes when, we haven't fully kind of embraced this new version of ourselves, this new path, this new direction. This is an energy of, going back over old photos, conversations, reminiscing, but usually to, the things that were good about the past or that person. It's connecting to those happy moments. What lies in your recent past? 5 of Pentacles. This is the energy that I was feeling at the beginning. This is someone moving on. Sometimes this can, be a sense of feeling abandoned for some of you. It may be that you have moved on from someone. It might be the person that you're dealing with. Sometimes it's a feeling of having to move on from something, and again, like I said at the beginning, the theme is the same, but it can show up in different areas of your life. So for some of you, this could relate to perhaps a project you were working on, a job that came to a close, something like that. What I feel about the past is I do feel, there was a lot of your energy invested in, whoever this is, whatever this is. But for me, there's a feeling of stagnation somehow. It feels to me like it was time, for your soul to, really expand to new levels and experience new things in life, to grow. And it does feel that, that there was a big invitation to step into a new version of yourself. And sometimes that involves, letting go of who or what we no longer feel truly aligned with. But I do feel a lot of sadness in this. I do feel like this is someone that you had a long connection with. This is a soulmate energy. And, we can have many soulmates, not only one. And, but whatever this is, or whoever this was in your life, I do feel like that was a very significant connection. But I do feel like it was one that had, really run its course and completed. You completed, what you were meant to do together, what that experience was all about. And in terms of career, I was talking about how, there's a feeling of stagnation, your light being dimmed rather than shining as brightly as it could, especially in terms of career, something that perhaps is feeling unfulfilling about, your the job or whatever it was that you were working on that kind of completed itself, that you've moved on from or you had to let go of. I think if you really feel back into that, there will be a feeling of perhaps not feeling like you were really reaching your full potential. And then, what happens is if we stay in that, we do begin to stagnate. And wrapped up in this card are always these lessons of, knowing your worth and your value and moving towards, something where you feel like you are being, you are reaching your full potential, and what you have to offer, your gifts, your qualities, are being valued and appreciated. You know, so moving towards like letting go of something, but moving forwards, you know, with that energy. These are always the lessons I feel of the Five of Pentacles. And like the figures in the card, you know, their clothes are in tatters and things like that. There's all these, you know, kind of hidden lessons that are wrapped up in this card around your worth and your value. Your current energies, the Tower, this is this transition that I was seeing. So for some of you, there may have been a sudden change, whatever it is that completed itself. It may have, you know, come in very quickly, you know, let's say unexpectedly, but I do feel that, you know, there were the workings of this already there for quite some time before, you know, the actual Tower came in. But the Tower always comes in when change is needed, and it always comes in to clear the path for something, you know, that is more aligned with who you are now and who you're moving into. You know, especially as you integrate those soul lessons. And the Tower is really when the universe comes in and brings about change, because change is needed. And it's the breaking down. And this is where there's the sort of the sadness and a little bit of heartbreak for those of you that this does relate to love. You know, it clears the path. But it's the breaking down of anything that wasn't really working for you anymore. Sometimes that's false foundations, that's illusions. This energy of feeling unfulfilled or feeling like you're stagnating somehow in life, in that connection. And how you approach this is really, really important. And I do feel that the biggest thing here is about trusting, you know, what is unfolding and just allowing, you know, what is breaking down to break down, because ultimately it is for your highest and best. And the invitation here always with the Tower is, you know, not to cling to the past. You know, embrace what's happening, embrace this change. Even if you can't see the destination just yet, just know it's happening for your highest and best. Because I really feel like there is, you know, a different path. You know, there's more of life for you to experience somehow. This is a process of, I feel, discovering more of yourself. That's what I feel this is all about. New connections, new possibilities, new experiences where, you know, you're really discovering more of yourself at this time. And if you can, you know, try to actually enjoy that process. But obviously it's a little bit of a challenge when, you know, there is something, there's a major part of your life that you're having to accept the letting go of here. But the invitation of the Tower is, you know, to come out the other side and put things back together in a better way, really. Your feelings towards your situation, the King of Cups, that's water energy. This is all about emotional mastery and very much an energy, I feel, of you taking care of your needs at this time, you investing in you. You know, the King of Cups is all about emotional mastery and being able to, I feel, keep your center here. You know, when a storm comes in, when a Tower comes in like that, that's about you keeping that trust, keeping that faith in what is unfolding, knowing that it is for your highest and best. And, you know, really holding that place of emotional balance in this. That's what the King of Cups does. You know, that's that emotional stability and calmness and balance, you know, especially in the eye of a storm, of chaos, of change. And that's really important to do that, as to, like I said, how you come out the other side of this. In the challenge, we have judgment, which is a card of a life review, where you're being asked to question things. You're being asked to, I feel, revisit the past, learn the lessons, and really take the wisdom of, you know, what you have learned from the past with you moving forwards. This is all about, you know, accountability, integrating the lessons of the past, looking at, you know, what you need to let go of and what you're going to take with you into the next chapter of your life. And in the challenge, you know, there might just be a little bit of a difficulty to do that. I feel like there might be a lot of, you know, quite strong emotions still at the moment. But as that starts to process, I do feel like you will come into this place of, you know, understanding and getting things into context. In your hidden influence, the Ace of Wands. This is a card of inspiration. It's the spark of something new, a new beginning, a new idea, a new path. This is all about following your passion, following your heart at this time. Because I do feel there's, you know, there's an energy that's really kind of opening up. This is, to me, what feels like a major beginning of a new chapter for you, with so much to experience. You know, this is all about potential and possibility, and really just, I feel, following your excitement, moving forwards. Just a little bit of a process to go through. Your advice from the universe, the King of Swords. Seeing the truth. You have the King of Cups, the King of Swords. I feel like this is about, I feel, perhaps just balancing, you know, the heart and the mind in this situation, integrating those emotions, and really getting things into context, you know, understanding perhaps the higher wisdom and the learning of the past and what is happening right now for you. And in your outcome, the Page of Wands. So this is all about openness. This is all about some kind of new beginning for you, Gemini. And again, you know, this is all about approaching life with enthusiasm, with excitement, and really just following that flow, following that creative flow, and just letting it guide you to, you know, wherever you're meant to be, whatever path you're meant to be taking. And, you know, sometimes when we don't quite know, you know, where we're headed, you know, that is the best thing to do. It's all about following your excitement. And that's one of the best ways to actually connect to purpose. And, you know, really just following what inspires you and letting that lead you forwards. So Gemini, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels right for you. So thanks so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.